America has found itself being bombarded now with political ads, and the presidential election is still 13 months away. But nonetheless, we've got, we got debates going on. Patrick, myself, and Vinny, and others, Adam, Milwaukee, then Simi Valley. Parts of us were at each one of those debates, checking out, seeing what's going on. Yeah, we feel the same way you did. It was like this interruption show that was going on in Simi Valley. But nonetheless, we got to talk to a lot of people and come to understand it. We're being bombarded with ads. So we're sitting there thinking, I wonder how much it takes to get elected. So I started doing some research. I said, maybe this would be interesting for folks. I know you're looking for news you could use, but look what I found on how much it takes to get elected. Let's pop this up. Check this out. So you've got the House of Representatives, and there's 400 and something of those, and then you have senators, and there's 2 per state, so there's 100 of those. And take a look what it takes to get elected in America. First of all, it takes about $2.8 million if you just want to get elected as a congressman. That's sort of the peak average. And it takes 10 times that to get elected as a senator. Well, senators are important. Senate can declare war, can override presidential vetoes, a lot of things like that. But nonetheless, look at that dollars. And these are dollars that are coming for you and I, because sometimes you have a representative or a senator that's going to be representing the interest of our industry. Maybe you are, in some industry that has a lot of environmental regulations or needless tariffs and things like this. Well, you would want to support senators and congressmen, $1,000 here, $1,000 there, do what you can, because you want to support the one that's going to get there and maybe help your industry with those kind of decisions. Well, it's going to cost $2.8 billion for that House winner and $26 million for a Senate winner. And take a look at this. Look at the amount that was spent on the presidential race in 2020. Oh my goodness. The total spend that year was that?
$14 billion.
$14 billion was spent end to end on all that. And you can see, that's the biggest. The purple lines is the presidential election. Everything underneath it was Senate and Congress. But look at that. That's the most we've ever spent in I don't know how long. And by the way, do this math. Okay, can you add this up for me, Kellyanne? Let's say 38% of people are Democrat votes are never going to move. Mm-hmm. And let's say 36% of people are Republican votes are never going to move. How much is that? 38 plus 36.
Wow.
Just shout it out when you know the answer.
It's 74.
What?
74.
74. So 74% of people, are not movable. Now let's add what some people call the protest votes, but the independent. And let's go with 4% to the Libertarian Party. That's 3% Libertarian Party.
Okay.
Total now?
77.
77. Now let's go 4% for Green.
It's 81.
81. And that's it. Let's just leave there. So that's 81%. So that 19% is what's left. So all that money, generally speaking, is spent on the 19%. But people will tell you it's really not that. It's really about half of that, or about 10 points, because inside that 19%, you have people that are movable, like in the middle of a war or a depression or something terrible, but they're really going to lean Democrat, and some are really going to lean Republican. So I am told that there's a maximum of 15% of the people that you can move. Guess what? Those billions of dollars, that's how much billions of dollars was spent to move only that many people, because everybody else is locked in. So I thought that was very, very interesting to look at it that way. All those ads and everything to move about 15% of the people for an election. Tell me that's not crazy.
It is.
So when they come knocking at your door, remember. So I have a follow-up chart here. You got the next one? Yep. Now, if you do decide when they're knocking at your door and you do decide to give them $1, ready for this? Only 56 cents is actually going to go to the advertising, because 10% of it goes to the cost of knocking on your door, And then 9% is the cost of holding cocktail parties and other events for you, or paying to get a permit and security to do a rally at a local, high school football stadium, or if you do something like that. Then about 8% for salaries, 7% for whatever, and 6% admin, and strategy and research. What is strategy? You just make ads that piss people off. 4%. So just remember, just like when you give to a charity and they have those charity scorecards that say, hey, when you give to the Feed the Children charity, only 40% goes to feed the children. Now, I'm not saying that's the accurate amount. I'm saying those are the scorecards they get. And there are some charities out there that they'll tell you, boy, they get a AAA rating because 88% goes to whatever it is you're trying to save. Feed the children, whatever it is, save the whales, whatever it is. But that's rare. And that's why those charities get big, giant gold stars. I wish there was a gold star for political campaigns to say how much gets to the kind of things I want it to get to. In this case, 56 cents on the dollar goes to media, which is out there, and then there's campaign events of 9%. So only 65% is actually getting to an advertising or a campaign event to make things happen. Everything else, these guys are the ones that are along for the ride, making salaries and getting an admin cost during the course of elections. So just remember that. 2/3 of it will probably get to helping get elected, but 1/3 of it's going up in smoke, baby, because those people don't work for nothing, and every 2 years when it's time for elections, the wolves are out in force. Anyway, did I have one more in here in the election? Do we have one more that was in there? Oh, this is even better. I remember this. Okay. Take a look at this. This is what the election winners spend versus the runner-up. Kevin McCarthy in California outspent his opponent, and he's number one. In other words, the most excess spending by $21 million. So he spent $21 million more than the person he beat. Nancy Pelosi spent $19 million more than the person she beat. Wait a minute. Nancy Pelosi has been in Congress how long?
Forever.
Right? She's been in Congress since 2 years before the Capitol building was even built. We're talking old. And yet she has to spend $19 million more than the person challenging her. You know what that tells you? You've been here long enough. And if you have to outspend your opponent by that much to keep your butt in Washington, we don't need term limits, we need jail. It's like, you need to be gone. And now take a look down at the bottom. It goes the other way too. Up in Minnesota, there's a lot of Somalis, there's a lot of Muslim people up there, and Ilhan Omar, she underspent by $6.5 million because the people up there wanted a woman with her belief structure and where she comes from so badly that it didn't matter that the opponent spent that much. And she's junior. I think she's only been around for 2 elections, maybe 3, because remember, in House of Representatives, every 2 years, election, every 2 years. So check that out. Isn't that interesting? That she underspends, but she wins anywhere. And then there's AOC, which is sort of in the middle, is she outspent her opponent by $5.5 million. Right? And so she spends $5.5 million, wins the election, and she's not any smarter. So go figure that. But I just thought this is interesting because entrepreneurs, business leaders, they're coming to us for this money. They're coming to us, and they're all coming to super PACs and companies that can give unlimited money. But we're part of this. So before you jump in the pool, make sure you're supporting someone that's going to actually be helping you, just not automatically supporting somebody there. Kim and I, we support a couple candidates that represent things that we feel very, very passionate about that are in other districts across the United States. One's in Arizona, spends a lot of time supporting entrepreneurs and veterans. We feel very strongly about veterans getting benefits, especially if they're wounded, permanently disabled veterans. And so there's a couple we support, not with millions of dollars, but we support those candidates because their voting record says that they're faithfully doing this. So if it's going to help something you believe in, if it's going to help your industry or something around your business, those are the ones to support. And it's not always the one that's next door, although you should support your local candidates because they should be representing your community at large, and with yard signs, whatever you can do to help. But I thought that was also very, very interesting and informative to you to talk about what's going on you know, in terms of Washington and where the money goes and who gets elected. Pretty interesting. Kevin McCarthy, $21 million more.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Omar, $5 million less.
Good for him.
I do not need to outspend you. You know, that's it.